What did you say?
For Pete's sake! Oh, forget it.
Whippersnapper.
Access granted.
What did you say?
For Pete's sake! Oh, forget it.
Whippersnapper.
I love it!
Viewer discretion is advised. Go where no man has gone before. In your face. It'll knock your socks off.
Broadcasting live from 86 degree downtown Cleveland at station WDWL TV. Not home of one, but 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and my buddy Oscar. And if it's flashing, it's Grumpy. And we're brought to you by this dickhead here, Grumpy Vulture Productions. Oh, come on. Man, is this thing... Oh, this thing is acting up. I think the tablet is finally dying. I guess I'm going to have to buy a new one. Damn it. Come on. You're only 21 years old. I keep complaining, and I shouldn't, because this thing has way surpassed its life. Who uses a 21-year-old tablet? Not all right. Take that back. 15. Pardon me. 15 years. I went into the settings and looked at the data manufacturer. Yeah, 15-year-old tablet. And it's really been acting up. Really. I had a hell of a time my sound effects literally disappeared. My shortcut gone. As a matter of fact, all 4 shortcuts for all 4 sound effects are gone. I don't know why they disappeared. So in order to bring up my sound effects, it takes a little while. And so far, I have not heard from the bitch. I didn't think I would. I just talking to her yesterday, it got crushed right away. Nope. No text message. What the hell? Hmm. Well, this is interesting. Why can't I turn the brightness up on my... brightness level, 1%. I'm looking at this thing going, holy shit, is this thing dark? I'll screw with it later on. They got more goofy shit. I did the update this morning, and goddamn Motorola made a bunch of goddamn changes in several programs on that phone, and I can't get the brightness. Well, she's got about, let me see. "15 text messages. Where's my Corvette? Where's my Corvette? Where's my Corvette? Where's my Corvette?" Yeah. 15 so far. She'll probably end up blocking me, but just the typical backhanded Arabs. Now, I know several good ones. Like the guy that runs the tire shop, him and his brother. Oh my God, those guys are... Matter of fact, they argue back and forth. They make me laugh. This bitch probably came over here under some blessing, refugee oppression, and she's going to live things her way. She's going to live under the rules of the country she came from. I call the shots. Not you, not the police, I call the shots. One way or another, I will find out the towing company. One way or another. And then See, I was, in a way, because I was talking to her fairly nice. In a way, I was hoping that she would say, okay, the car is, still okay. Because I told her, I said, I need to inspect it before I finish the purchase. I said, right now I have a deposit on it. I was kind of hoping she'd say, okay, it's at QJX Towing. To which point, I would have gone to the towing company and then called the police. And if the police said, well, you don't own it, at that point I would call Bill and say, tell the police I am purchasing it. And it was stolen from the house. And if the police get, kind of cocky, I'll say, hey, I will present anybody with a title in a couple of days. Right now, I have a deposit on this car. And then I'll explain that we would have had the car out of there, but someone changed the lock on the gate. And the lock on the gate should not have been changed until title transferred. Because up until title transfers, you don't own anything. You can't go in there and start changing locks and combinations to safes and shit. Title transfer on a house is like title transfer on a car. You don't own that house or anything on that property. And then when the title transfers, you own the house and the garage. You don't own the vehicles. And it was really interesting. Title transferred on Tuesday afternoon, and Wednesday morning, she had them cars towed out. I am going to go door to door. And I am going to ask any of the neighbors if they have a Ring doorbell camera or a security camera so I can get the name of the towing company. She sounds like maybe 40s. She's not young, but she's not ancient. And typical, they talk and they won't let you get a word in edgewise. Like when she told me, well, I called the owner and the owner said, junk 'em. I said, it's pretty strange. I called the owner and the owner is as shocked as I am that they're gone. And I drove by again today. My note is still on the door. Eight and a half by 11. It's still on the front door. I drove by today at noon. And then I drove by again today by 2 o'clock. Because I'm hoping to catch her at that house. I am going to make several trips a day. Because it's only 4 blocks from my house. And I am hoping to catch her there. I'm going to warn the neighbors too. I'm going to give the neighbors the whole story. Tell them, well, here's what you got moving in. A bitch that had 3 cars literally removed from her property that she didn't own, that the towing company stole. Like I've said many times, I'm the last person you want to piss off. And this one has got me pissed off. Because I talked to Bill today and he was like, don't make waves, don't make waves. I said, 3 cars were stolen from you. And you act like you don't give a fuck. I would be hopping mad. I would be on the phone with the police. Don't make waves. I'm making waves. Because I really caught her off guard. When I told her, I said, you did not own them cars. You owned the house. You own the garage. You own the land that it sits on. You did not own those cars. Those weren't in the deal when you bought the house at sheriff's auction. And when she told me, oh, I called the police and they said, go ahead and junk them. What police department did you call? Nome, Alaska? You sure didn't call Cleveland, because I don't know any Cleveland cop that would say, oh, go ahead and junk them. The towing company is probably a cousin or an uncle. You know, they all clan together. One buys a 7-Eleven, another one buys a gas station, another one buys a towing company. You know, they're all related. But she had no right doing, and that towing company literally stole 3 cars. Because she made no effort to contact the owner. Title transferred on the house. She thought maybe she was over in Iran, Iraq, wherever. I own everything. No. And I think she got, when I told her, I said, you don't own them cars. That's when she goes, well, I'm not going to get the towing company in trouble. I'm not going to tell them, tell you who they are. Yeah, because she knew when she called that towing company that she had no right to have them towed. And then that towing company had no right to take them cars. They stole them. That's auto theft times 3. But one way or another, I will find out who that towing company is. I pray somebody has a Ring doorbell or a security camera on that street. And I'm going to go door to door. Yeah, she probably got $100, maybe two, because it was a Corvette. Well, I'll give you $200 for the Corvette. And then she had the nerve to tell me, well, you'll have to buy them. You'll have to buy the car from the towing company because they paid me. It's not like, oh, I fucked up and I'll give the towing company back the money. Oh, no. She's going to keep the money and then I have to pay the towing company for a stolen car? I don't think so. But unfortunately, I think it's a pancake right now. I really do. It's been gone too long. Matter of fact, they probably disposed of them 3 cars immediately. They probably crushed them immediately. Because they knew they stole them. I pray somebody's got a security camera or a Ring doorbell camera because I'll tell you what, this is going 3, 5, 8, 19. I'll shake this city up. There'll be a citywide inspection of towing companies because this shit goes on constantly. I guarantee it. Because I've been waiting to catch him next door to ask him. I'm going to say, you buy junk cars all the time, right? Yeah. What happens when you get to somebody's house and they don't have a title? Do you buy the car anyway? Do you take it for scrap? And I would almost guarantee he'd say, oh yeah. She lit the stick of dynamite and the fuse is slowly burning down. And as soon as I find out who that towing company is, oh boy. The shit will hit the fan. Because if I have to drive to Wadsworth to Bill's house to get the title for that Corvette, I will. Because once I'm the legal owner, then I can really throw the shit at the fan. Because I have pictures on my cell phone of the car locked behind the gate. She done fucked with the wrong cranky old bastard. Because I got all the time in the world to play these games. I'm retired. Gives me something to do. And I love stirring shit. I really do. That's what pissed off 4 ex-wives. Because I have been like this forever. That's all I would ever hear. You always gotta start shit. Yep. Makes life interesting. And at my age, I need a little spice in my life. Well, we know about the catalytic converters because some of the converters sell for up to $150. They get paid up to $150 for certain converters at scrapyard. And then with it being an 84 Corvette, I'm sure they salvaged as many parts, you know, the rims, engine parts. Yeah, they probably stripped shit out of it real quick and then crushed it. Yeah, Woodles. $7 the first, 2 years the second. Then I went 13 years the third, and 18 months on the fourth. First one, I got married in a Catholic church. Second one, a Methodist church. Third one, a Presbyterian. Fourth one was by a judge. And if I'd have done it the fifth time, I'd have got a rabbi. Spread it around. As a matter of fact, the fourth one, I got married by a judge in a Boston market because she was the assistant manager of Boston Market, and that's where we met. And oh, did Boston Market play it up. I was in newspapers worldwide because a friend of mine who was living in London at the time, I got it somewhere. He brought me a copy of the Daily Mirror. With pictures of me getting married inside a Boston Market. And Boston corporate called the local news stations, and they called the TV stations and the radio stations. I was on 3, 5, 8, and 19, and Wixie, or not Wixie, Magic was doing a countdown, on the air countdown. I showed up at that Boston Market. There were TV cameras everywhere. Oh, yeah, they put on a big spread. As a matter of fact, any customers got to eat free. And they had a, a keyboardist, a guitarist. There were 2 guitarists and a keyboardist. And my wedding cake. Now, I happened at the time, and here's part of the reason why Boston Market played this up. I really liked Boston Market's meatloaf. Well, right about the time I was getting married, somebody broke a news story that Boston Market's meat was kangaroo meat, which it wasn't. Nobody knows where this came from. So Boston Market, they went crazy with this because it was, they were able to not only play up my wedding, but they were able to play up their 100% beef meatloaf. And the manager of that Boston Market made the wedding cake out of meatloaf and frosted it with mashed potatoes. He piped on mashed potatoes to make it look like frosting. And when you cut into it, it was a meatloaf. I'm probably the only person on earth who had a meatloaf wedding cake. And like I say, all the TV stations picked it up. WMJI picked it up. Oh God, there were like 4 radio stations. I got out of the car, and you would think I was some famous personality. I had more microphones in my face than I have over in the cabinet over here.
Crikey. 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 Crikey.
Wow!
Yeah, Oodles, personality. And then, unfortunately, Boston Market folded up. Matter of fact, the Boston Market is now I think it's a small print shop or something. Or a cell phone. It's a cell phone sales company. I don't know if it's AT&T or it's a cell phone store. It used to be a Boston Market. Yeah, I couldn't believe it when I opened this envelope, from London, England, and it was the Daily Mirror. As a matter of fact, I had now, here's the proof that you always believe what you read in the Inquirer, because I had a full page in the Inquirer. I've got that put away somewhere too. Full page. Inquiring minds want to know. Because it was a big publicity hit for Boston Market. It really was. And to this day, I don't know, nobody knows where this kangaroo meat thing came from. Somebody, of course, wonders of the internet. Somebody put a story up that Boston Market's meatloaf was made out of kangaroo. And people were like, well, I ain't buying the meatloaf anymore. And then corporate was like, whoa, wait a minute. Wait a minute. We have an employee in Cleveland who's getting married. We will fly one of the guys from corporate to Cleveland and ask, how about getting married in the store? And the guy flew out. I think they were headquartered out of Colorado or something. Guy was like, we'll pay for everything. And we'll pay for the judge and your marriage license. And we'll cater the affair. And how about getting married in the store? I was like, works for me. Anytime somebody says, I'll pick up the tab, hey, you got my attention right away. But it was a riot when I cut, when we cut into that wedding cake. And I was like, this don't look like vanilla cake, and it don't look like chocolate cake. And then I realized it was a meatloaf cake. With mashed potato frosting. It was actually good. Although, I kind of got tired eating meatloaf every night, but we finished that cake off because it was fucking huge. I was like, what are you feeding? The Seventh Fleet? Look at the size of that cake. After the ceremony was like, take the cake home with you. Oh boy. Now you have a little inside info on Grumpy. And after me, there were 4 other weddings in Boston markets across the United States. Because I have news articles courtesy of Boston Market where somebody in New Jersey got married and somebody in Left Snowshoe, Idaho got married. But I was the first. My 15 minutes of fame. I forget the judge's name. She was a judge in Rocky River Municipal Court. Oh my God, I can't remember her name. She looked a bit like Judge Judy. Matter of fact, she commented that it was her first wedding in a Boston market. I was like, it was probably your first wedding outside the courthouse. And she was a flaming redhead, and oh, her temper was... they talk about redheads and their temper. Her temper matched her red hair. She was a little bit psycho. I thought she was going to kill me. Matter of fact, when we were dividing up things, I really wanted the piano. Because she had, this thing had to be a 1940s Steinway Grand player piano. Because all the neighbors thought that I played piano, because I'd come home from work and I'd put a piano roll in, and then I would sit at the piano, and you could see from the street me sitting at the piano while it played itself. Because I told the kids, don't tell anyone. And I'd open the drapes in the living room, and I had a nice light over the piano. I'd put in a piano roll, flip the switch, and sit there like I was playing it. And all the neighbors were like, holy shit, we got Liberace living next to us. I don't know what I'd have done with it if I'd have got it. But I would have loved to have it. Because when she told me it was a player, I went downtown. I don't know if they're still there. It was Bill Kapp, K-A-P, Bill Kapp Piano. And he specialized in players. And he must have had 10,000 music rolls. And I went down and I bought a shitload of them. Everything from Bach and Mozart to modern shit. Yeah, I'd put a roll in and flip the switch. Liberace here. I was tempted to get one of them tuxedo jackets with the tails, you know. Put on a tuxedo shirt, put the jacket on. Give a concert. In the summer, I'd open the windows. And up until the day I moved out of the house, nobody knew it was a player piano. But boy, I'll tell you what, you talk about a spicy redhead, oh, never again. You know, I think most guys have a fascination for redheads. And I did. And holy shit did I pay. Oh, man. Unfortunately, I heard a little too late that redheads' tempers match their hair. She was a psycho bitch. Oh, wow. I'll never forget the day I walked into that, first time I walked into that Boston market. I saw her behind the counter. I was like, oh, I could add a little spice to my life. Holy shit. Spice wasn't a word. Speaking of spice, I had been on a search for kimchi flavored ramen noodles. Mark's used to carry them. They dropped them because they said they weren't popular. So I have been on a search for the last 3-4 days for kimchi noodles. So I find a case, a company that sells them on eBay. So I saved it, and I decided rather than have them shipped, I would like to get them local. So for grins, today I had to go up to get cigarettes. So I go up to my favorite Indian store. And while I was getting cigarettes, I said, is there a possibility you could order these? And he looked at the picture and he went, back at the end of that first aisle. I went, what? Sure enough, he had these by the case in the store. I said, I have been looking for these goddamn things. He goes, I carry them. They're back there. Walmart carries them. I'll tell you what. I was at a Korean barbecue restaurant a year ago, and I had a side dish of how come my camera's going bonkers here? I had a side dish, a side bowl of ramen noodles with kimchi. And I loved it. So I happened to be walking down the ramen noodle aisle at Mark's, and they had them. Well, then they stopped carrying them. Now, I had no idea that Walmart carried them until I did my search and I found them at Walmart and Costco. But I got them up the corner for the same price. Now you would think, being the little Indian store, they would... No. If I would order that case, now I got the bowls. That's the packets where you pour it, in the boiling water. I got the bowls where you just put the water in, put it in the microwave, 3-4 minutes, we're done. I also asked him, can you get me jars of real kimchi? And he looked in his catalog and he went, yeah, I'll order them. So I have my kimchi noodle bowls, and probably in a week or two, I will have jars of authentic kimchi. I love the stuff. Oh my God, it's outstanding. So next time, Kathy, you go to Walmart, go back in the ramen noodle aisle and pick yourself up a kimchi bowl and give them a try. Because I'm sure you don't have to buy a case. I'm sure they have them loose where you could buy one to try them. Because that's dinner tonight. I will have my kimchi bowl, and I have my cubed ham and my green onions, and I got some hot sausage left over. I'll slice real thin. I'm gonna research. I would tend to think in your larger grocery stores, like Gigantic Eaglet, they have a huge Asian section. I would almost guarantee Gigantic Eaglet has jars of kimchi, because it's a very popular food item with the Japanese and the Chinese and the Koreans and the Vietnamese. And I would tend to think, who's your big supermarket down there? I mean, you know, we got Gigantic Eaglet here. I don't know if you've got a Myers or a Piggly Wiggly or Kroger's, or I would tend to think in the Asian aisle you would be able to find kimchi. If not, I guarantee you'll find it on eBay. Yeah, I could always go to Chinatown. We have a big Asian market over East 30th and what, Chester. I've been to it a couple of times. Walking in the one store was scary. Well, check the Asian section at Food City. But I remember walking into the one store in the Asian market area there. And there was a guy over at the fish counter buying live eels. And they put them in a plastic bag. Here you go, sir. Live eels. Them suckers had to be like 4 foot long. And there was a bunch of other stuff, because there was a lobster that was trying to get away. The guy kept bringing it back, stick it on the ice. And the weird fish. You talk about weird looking fish. And they had live octopus. I mean, that store was scary. But if Giant Eagle don't have it, I guarantee I could go over. Although, see, this is the problem with the goddamn car. There are a lot of places I want to go, and, I don't own this car. So within the next couple of days, I have to go to the title bureau and get that court order packet and fill it out and take it down to the Justice Center and spend fucking $250 to file it. And then once the court says, give him a title, then I got to pay for the title, and I got to pay taxes on the car, on the purchase. I'm like, this is getting ridiculous. Yeah, Mary Ann says to me today, she goes, had you known this, would you have still bought the car? And dummy me said, yeah. Because the more I drive it, the more I fall in love with it. It is one little hot rod. Especially when the turbo kicks in. Oh boy. And basically, I got all the major components fixed. Car should last me for years. Matter of fact, it's coming up for an oil change. Because I told Ryan I want to do a couple of rapid oil changes because I kind of doubt that the people that owned it before me were using synthetic oil. Because it's an expensive oil change. And some people are like, oil's oil. No, when you've got an engine, especially a turbocharged engine that said, you will use synthetic, you use synthetic. As much as I hate paying the price, although I'll go in and I'll tell Brian I want an oil change, he'll pull a dipstick and go, you ain't even dirty yet. That's all right. You have an oil burner furnace. You can use the oil. Yeah, they have an oil burner furnace that they heat the garage with. Well, that's a possibility. If I don't find it on the aisle, I'll ask. Say, hey, you got kimchi? Kim who? Kimchi. Kimchi? Isn't he the president of Japan? Or China? Kimchi Un. No, his name isn't Kimchi Un. Kimchi. Fermented cabbage. Oh, sauerkraut. Well, in a way, it's Asian sauerkraut with a bite. But from the first time I tried it, oh, the stuff kicks ass. It really does. So now I have my kimchi ramen noodles, and maybe I'll go to Gigantic Eaglet tomorrow. I don't have anything really on my schedule. I was going to go look at a car, and the guy called me back and told me he sold it. I was scanning through Faceplant Marketplace, and I come across this 2000 Honda Pilot for $1,000, and it looked beautiful. So I called the guy. Well, I messaged him, and then he called me, and I said, "What's wrong with it?" He said, "Nothing." I said, "The car looks like it just rolled out of the showroom. Is that price right, $1,000? He says, "Yeah." I said, "What's the catch?" "There's a catch here." He said, "It was my mother's, and she passed away 2 years ago, and it's been in my garage, and I'm tired of looking at it. I didn't want it to begin with. I got stuck with it. I want it out of my garage." I says, "Okay, where are you located?" "Lakewood." Oh boy. I said, "Where in Lakewood?" He tells me. I said, "Oh, okay, I know a way I can sneak in and sneak out." I said, "Are you home right now?" "No, I'm at work. I'll be home at 5. "Okay. I'll be at your house between 5 and 5:30. I leave here at 5 o'clock, and I am 3/4 of the way to his house. And my phone rings. And I answered the phone, and he said, "Are you on your way?" I said, "Yeah, I'm about 2 blocks from your house." He said, "Well, keep going. I just sold it." It had 62,000 miles. It's a 26-year-old Honda Pilot in that ugly metallic orange. And it looked gorgeous. He told me, he said, you can drive it home. I put a new battery in it. You can drive it home. Because what I planned on doing was leaving the Passat at his house, driving the Pilot home, and having Mary Ann take me back to pick up my car. Because he told me his next door neighbor is a notary. He said, we can do the title right here. That way I would have had a notarized title. I would have gone and got a temp tag tomorrow. And the Honda Pilot would have been the new WDWL TV mobile. I love them Honda Pilots, mainly because they're actually ugly. It looks like a cross between an SUV and a van and a station wagon. Like all three of them collided, and then and Honda built them pet friendly. Because the back seat, they have all kinds of accessories so that your pet can safely ride in the back seat of the Honda Pilot. I couldn't believe it when he called me. I said, "Are you fucking serious?" He said, "Yep, cash in hand." I said, "Why don't you give the guy back his money and we'll get into a bidding war?" If the two of us would have showed up at once, it would have turned into a bidding war. Because I really wanted that Pilot. I could not. I looked down at the phone. I was like, well, I recognize that phone number. Are you on your way? I said, yeah, I'm 2 blocks from your house. He said, well, turn around, go home. It would have been perfect. It would have been the most perfect grumpy mobile, because on the Pilot, I could have put my goddamn Federal Vista bar up on the roof. And my mirror mounts, I had mirror-mounted strobe lights that came off a Crown Victoria. They would have fit on the Honda Pilot mirrors. I could have turned that Pilot into a real police car. Plus, I have an extra siren. Because when I saw it, waiting for him to call back, I went in on Gargle, and I gargled interior pictures, and I was figuring out where I could put the CB and put the scanners. I was like, oh man. A 2000 Honda Pilot with 61,000 miles. Goddamn thing isn't even broke in. Because that was the only decent thing on Faceplant Market Space. Man, some of the junk people were selling. Then you look and a beautiful picture comes up, you know. There was a Subaru Forester. And the car really looked nice. And I was like, oh man, and it's a manual on top of it. Then you read through the description. Needs engine. Well, cross that one off the list. I'll tell you the thing that's surprising. How many vehicles from basically 2000 to like 2013, 2014 with blown motors. And I'm talking everything down the line from Hondas, Toyotas, Subaru, don't they build anything to last anymore? I was shocked when I saw how many vehicles that had bad engines. Now, not everybody is a maintenance freak like I am, but these cars should be going 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 miles. There was an '02 Volkswagen Passat, same color as mine, 5-speed, 189,000 miles. Blown clutch. It was identical to mine. Same color interior, everything. Matter of fact, it was the GLX or GLS, which means it should have had the AM/FM cassette CD player in it. Putting a clutch in one of these cars is a nightmare. Because I called Ryan and I said, hey, I'm thinking of buying a Passat with a blown clutch. And he said, don't do it. He said, you have to pull the engine out to put a clutch in it. I said, oh, okay. It was as clean as mine. Because the guy had pictures 360, not to mention he took pictures looking underneath. Same color, black interior, sunroof, the whole. I was like, twins. I'd have had twins. Come out of the house, go, let's see, do I drive the green one or the green one? That would have drove the neighbors crazy having them parked in the driveway. Yes, you're seeing stereo. 2 Volkswagen Passats. And one I could have owned legally with a blown clutch. Although, if Ryan would have said there would have been a shortcut to put a clutch in it, I would have, I can't remember, down south somewhere, I've bought clutches from this, they sell racing clutches. I would have bought a Stage 3 racing clutch for Passat number 2. Which basically I would have needed 2 feet to push the clutch down, because that's how stiff that pressure plate would have been, even with a hydraulic assist. Because in my one Ford Ranger, matter of fact, the guy laughed his ass off. He goes, "You're putting a competition race clutch in a Ford Ranger 4-cylinder?" I said, "Yep." The Stage 3 basically was listed not for a Ford Ranger, listed for an F-150 tow truck. And the guy said, "You're putting that clutch in a 4-cylinder Ford Ranger?" And oh, did I regret it. Oh my God. In stop and go traffic, holy shit. I was getting cramps in my calf. Talk about stiff. But it would have lasted forever. I put that fancy clutch in and the goddamn motor went. Dropped the valve. Although I was beating on it, but I was hot rodding it on the freeway, and all of a sudden I tap 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 tap. I was like, oh. Next morning, I took the spark plugs out and I put my little bore scope down. Cylinder 1, okay. Cylinder 2, okay. Cylinder 3, holy shit, there's a hole in the piston. Oops. Acting like an asshole teenage kid. Showing off. Learned my lesson with that one. Luckily, I had another Ford Ranger. I had 2. I had a red one and a green one. Same year, same cab, same everything. Same motor, transmission, a red one and a green one. I blew up the red one. Luckily, I had a green one. And then a year later, the goddamn timing belt broke on the green one. And I said, screw it. And I ended up scrapping that one too. And what did I buy? A Chevy. I bought a Chevy van. But it was like the it looked like the old Silhouette, but it was the Chevrolet version. Christ, it had a goddamn monster windshield on it. Had that slant nose on it. I liked it. It had dual side sliding doors. And I had it for about a year and a half. And the thermostat stuck and the engine overheated. And I huffed a head gasket. So I sold it to a kid down the street that said he was going to fix it. And he fixed it. It was kind of neat. I kind of liked that Chevy van. And when I got rid of the van, that's when I bought the shitbox. My Nissan pickup. And in the 6 years that I've had it, I've watched it slowly decay. Oh, it's getting bad. It's getting bad. I haven't driven it in a month. I went out today, hit the key, fired right up. Maybe I'll take it shopping tomorrow. I got to put a little air in the back tire. I haven't driven it in a while. I'll piss the neighbors off with that little tiny cherry bomb muffler. That goddamn muffler is only 12 inches long. The little dipsy doodle. And boy, when I put my foot in it, is it loud. Yeah, maybe that's what I'll do. I haven't driven in a month. Park the Passat on the street, take the old truck out tomorrow. Give it a good run. God, if that thing decays much more, I'll be sitting on a milk crate on the frame rails. That's the sad thing. Once something starts to rust, it goes quick. But you can't hear it idle. Oh, that's the sad part if I ever have to get rid of it. I start that thing up, and you can hardly hear it. That is the best running little truck. God, I wish I could find another truck. I would actually pay Ryan to put that engine in another truck. Because that engine is sweet. So I'll scan, well, I'll give it a couple of days and scan face plant because I have to find the truck ain't gonna last too much. The cab is starting to go. I gotta find me a backup vehicle. Preferably something with a title. Oh man, that breaks my heart having to spend that $250. Jesus. But that's the only way I'm going to get a title for the car. The only way. Enough to make you cry. But I believed him when he went, oh yeah, the probate court case is winding down. We should have a title any time now. Yeah. Talk about a bald-faced lie. Unreal. But, story of Grumpy's life. But I'll tell you what, the day I have that title in my hand, they're going to be a big celebration. I'll get me a bouncy castle on the front yard and have them goofy waving whatever the hell they are with the spiky hair and fireworks. And then I can legally have this license plate. Story of my life. I learned a lesson. And you know, they always say, you know, karma or what goes around comes around. I would preach to people. Don't ever buy anything that doesn't have a title. And what do? I buy a car that doesn't have a title. Talk about those words coming to bite me in the ass.
Wow!
Yep. Oh. Mr. Feed Me. You're actually kind of on time tonight. I know you're hungry. Oh, the facial expression. Talk about sad eyes. Mr. Pink Nose. You got a pink nose. Well,
That's it, I'm through.
time to feed the walking belly here. Job of the gut. We know where, right here. Home of not one, but 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and an Oscar. Okay, everybody. Thanks for being here. It's a pleasure, like always, having everyone here. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. And we will meet again tomorrow night. And with that, everybody take care. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. See you.